Hello, and today I will be reviewing two rums which have nothing in common except that they were both distilled in 2005. So, follow me on a magical adventure, time traveling back to the era when we were all excited that they were going to make serious Batman movies again. Remember that? And put on some of that second Kanye album and party like it's a 5-4 Supreme Court conservative majority rather than a 6-3 death cult. Okay, let's get this started. So I got a Rhum J.M. 2005, vintage 2005. This is the box. And this is the bottle. Now I bought this as an experiment because it is aged in American oak. I am guessing ex-bourbon casks, but I'm not really sure. But in any case, American oak. I think charred as well. And so I was curious because I've had a lot of rums, agricole rums, from Martinique in particular, which have been aged in American oak. And I've been a little bit disappointed with them, but they've also all been kind of young. Like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years old. So I have enjoyed older rums, but they're generally ones from French oak casks. So the question is what's tripping me up about the American oak rum agricoles that I've tried, that, you know, they're the American oak thing, or is it just that they're young? So this is my attempt to get an old American oak aged agricole style rum. So we got the and as a partner to this, we have a Port Mourant from 2005, bottled by L'Esprit. This is bottled in 2018. It is 12 years old. I talked about Port Mourant on the channel before. One of the coolest stills in the world. Centuries old at this point, made entirely, well, pretty much entirely out of wood. There are a couple of wooden stills in the Diamond Distillery in Guyana, but the Port Mourant is arguably the most famous of the bunch. So this is, I think maybe the third or fourth of these I've reviewed on the channel, and there's nothing like them. And if I think to some extent you can't consider yourself a true rum head until you've just got that character in your brain a little bit. It's hard to chase these down, but you kind of got to do it. All right, so let's get this started. Let's go through these. Let's start with the Rhum J.M. So this is they give you information. So this was it was distilled in 2005, or it was 2000 vintage. It was put in barrel in June 2006, June 29th, which is a little weird. So they had this, I guess, in maybe stainless steel, inox for a while. I'm not really sure. And then came out of the barrel in August 18th, 16. So 10 years in barrel. It is cask strength, but the cask strength is only 43.8%. This is bottle number 5,646. There are quite a few of these out there. And I don't really know what else to say. So it's a vintage dated 10-year-old batch. But again, the question mark here for me was, what happens when you put a cane juice based rum in an American oak cask for a very, very long period of time in the tropics? I don't know what that does, and we're gonna find out. Okay. Okay. Well, now I know. Hugely woody. As with a lot of American oak cane juice rums, presents as maybe a bourbon or a rye, some kind of American whiskey at first, like a high rye bourbon / barely legal rye. So oak char, vanilla, creme brulee, that kind of thing. Lots of cherry notes, cherry pie, white pepper, old tea bags. So initially you're thinking, oh no, like this, what I was hoping for was that, yeah, okay, you initially get those notes when you age in American oak, but eventually the spirit's going to kind of kind of push its way through, and you're going to get some fun tertiary notes. And initially, you might be disappointed, and I was when I first opened this, but persevere. Persevere, and you suddenly, after whirling the glass enough, you start to notice a ton of orange peel and a lot of fennel. And glory of glories, there's a lot of seawater in this. So now, I mean, you have the sort of the bourbon showcase overlaying all of this, but it also just is showing up as a rum now somehow. A little bit of herbaceousness. There's some basil and oregano going on. I mean, it's still the oak, the wood, running the show here, but this actually has a lot more depth to it than I initially gave it credit for. On the palate, ooh, that is okay. So if you expect finishes to be dry and big to the extent that they are like alcoholically, loaded, here's one that will kind of steer you wrong. This is 43.8% alcohol, and the finish is huge and long and aggressively dry and serious. This is kind of where you see the difference in things that are like 43, maybe 40%, because they were just diluted down to that strength, versus things that got down there just because they were aged for a long time in a humid environment. This is the latter, and it still feels very substantial in the finish and in the mouthfeel. Yeah, we got to start with the finish. Oh, so it's very woody, very dry, but it has this cooling menthol thing that actually you get a lot of older bourbons for that matter. Pepper, overstewed tea, tree bark, but like nice tree bark. Sometimes I like things to be sort of really drying and woody. Vanilla, cherry eau de vie, little Kirschwasser, ash, like barrel ash, sweet tea again, ground pepper, especially. Yeah, arrives with a lot of sweetness. I mean, there's no actual sugar in this. This is undosed, but a sense of sweetness, the vanilla, the cherry stuff. But again, start to pay attention. Give this a little more of your brain power, and you will notice a lot of orange peel, salted licorice, some clove in this, like a burned Brussels sprout thing, like something a little bit green. It's nice. Not that those are totally alien notes to like American whiskey, but the emphasis given to them and the kind of the way they're arriving is different than what you would expect from an American whiskey. It's a different kind of beast, and I've it's really grown on me actually. Oh, and there's a fair bit of like not quite cinnamon. Almost like cinnamon cardamom, if you could like blend the two together. It's got that same kind of hit. Yeah, this is. Initially, I was disappointed, and again, it's kind of grown on me. So I'm going to give it a little bit of water, not too much, because it's only 43%. And we shall move on to the Port Mourant. Also, look at this. Look at the difference in color. And that's just like the difference in tropical versus continental aging, right? I am dead certain that this Port Mourant came from was aged in Europe somewhere, as opposed to the tropics. Otherwise, it would be. I mean, part of it is the color, but part of it is just the way it shows itself. All right, so this is a 12-year-old single estate rum, bottled by L'Esprit, who's an independent European-based independent bottler. This is cask number BB104D. I'm going to put all this below. Distilled May 13, 2005. Bottled March 9, 2018. So just short of 13 years old. 238 bottles at 58% alcohol, dead. And natural color, non-chill filtered as well. On the nose of this bad boy, I mean, it just smells like continentally aged PM. It's if there could be a textbook of rum, this would kind of be the entry for continentally aged Port Mourant. So initially, I'm getting kind of exotic woods, really, like balsa. Not just balsa, but balsa is the first that comes to mind. A lot of cinnamon stick in this, fennel, pu'er tea, really more pu'er tea leaves than just the actual tea. Eucalyptus, something in like industrial, but not like it's not like straight up gasoline or motor oil. It's more like an Italian engine from the 60s in a car that was just run about an hour ago. That kind of smell. So it's not that rough, but you can tell it's there. There's some banana in this, vanilla bean, I would say, like kind of like a cola note, like Pepsi. Pink peppercorns. A little like stone fruit, peach maybe. Something slightly metallic. Usually when I get metals, I also think florals at the same time, but there's not really, aside from the kind of Pepsi thing, I'm not actually getting a whole lot of florals on this. Oh, and mint tea. Like Senegalese mint tea, and quite a lot of it too. Kind of playing with the eucalyptus note. All right, on the palate of this, ooh. Okay, so this is much, in terms of wood, this is much, much lighter than the Rhum J.M. It's more about aromatics and kind of little weird spices and flowers and herbs than it is about like, power. But it works, and actually, now that I think about it, it does have quite a lot of oomph on the back end, thanks to the partially thanks to the alcohol, but I also think it's just the character of the spirit. Mint tea leading off. But there is actually a lot of oak on this now that I'm paying attention. It's just a different kind. It's not arriving like this big sledgehammer. It's more like a kind of light vanilla custard thing. There's some mixed flowers in this, exotic woods, the balsa thing again. Lots of cinnamon stick. And Christmas peppermint stick. Like, the red and white things? That's in here. Black pepper, lots of black pepper. Kind of a wood smoke thing, like you set your balsa on fire. It's quite smoky. Lapsang Souchong, Balkan style tobacco, pipe tobacco. Kind of that funny Pepsi note again. And now that I've had a couple of sips of this, the back end is really starting to hang. It's starting to get really grippy. It wasn't like that when I initially tried it. It takes a couple of sips for it to build up. But now it's got this kind of really grippy, aromatic, peppery back end on it. which is fun. These are actually both have very serious and aggressive finishes. Oh, and there's some fennel in this too. There's always fennel on Port Mourant, and kind of rums in general. You're expecting to get fennel. Nice. It's a step up in quality from the Rhum J.M, which is kind of what you would expect. Like just in terms of the pedigree of these things, that's what you'd expect. So no surprises on today's episode. I'm sorry. That's like 4 squirts, right? Let's see if that's enough. Oh, another half squirt. Okay. Okay, let's go back through. Now the water has shaken them up a little bit, and see if we got any development, good or bad. All right, back to the Rhum J.M, 2005. We were all excited about the new 9 Inch Nails album too. It was like, he's doing a follow-up to the Fragile. Like, there's going to be lots of guitars and things. Then he started rapping again, like he did on Pretty Hate Machine. It was weird. It was a little weird. Okay. So the Rhum J.M. actually on the nose gets even more sweet than it was before. So lots more vanilla and that creme brulee thing. And quite nutty. So did I mention? Okay, for some reason I had it in my notes and I didn't say it. This is one of the nuttiest spirits I can recall having, especially rums. Like the amount of like burned nutshells on this is really strong. But with water, it turns more into like this kind of honeyed marzipan thing. Very, very confected, very dessert-like. But the orange thing and the fennel and that little seawatery thing, the brininess, they persist. On the palate, spicy boy. Again, add water to this and the oak comes out even more than it was already out. And it doesn't make it worse. It just kind of makes it a little bit more bourbony on the palate. Which in this case is, ooh, I really am falling in love with that finish. Which in this case is not a bad thing. It's very bourbony and it's not subtle. But I am absolutely into this. I'm going to give it 85 points out of 100. Nice little rum. Kind of confirms what I was already expecting in terms of old cane juice based rums aged in American oak. But I kind of like it anyway. So there you go. Now you know. Back to the Port Mourant. Now with water. Oh, it gets a little bit more fruity now. So we're talking on like guava, maybe some more banana coming through, a little touch of coconut. Not totally different. It's an incremental change from before. Okay, let's give this a shot on the palate. Here we go. Oh. Oh. So, not a lot of development on the nose, but the palate kind of goes nuts a little bit. It already had a spicy thing going on, but now it's just kind of exploded in my mouth. So it's sweet. It's a little bit more sweet. Again, a little bit more confected, but it's also just really spicy and peppery. Like I don't even know. Like I imagine there's got to be some like exotic South Asian dessert like this that just hits you wham in your mouth with pepper and cinnamon and cardamom and I don't know, stuff I don't even know about. Oh, that's good. It is. So this is impeccable, continentally aged Port Mourant. I don't think it's a showstopper. Like it's not getting into the 90s, but I will give it a healthy 88 points out of 100. And if you see anything from this batch of barrels at a reasonable price, I think it's worth a grab. So that's it. 2005. I don't know. 2005. We're done. Rhum J.M. 2005 gets 85, and the Port Mourant L'Esprit gets 88. That's what I got. Thanks for watching, and cheers.